Greetings, people of the world! Matthew back with you here in Overall Autism for the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. It is Year 2, Day 33 for EDSS and the Realm Reborn. And last time, we completed the last of the patch 2.2 side dungeons by going to the hard mode of Brave Flox's Long Stop, a dungeon that's known for its insane speedruns and speedrunners. But today we get to start on the side dungeons for patch 2.3 as we prepare to go to its main story. So, we have come here to Ul'dah to take on the first stepping stone to the first of these 3 dungeons that were available through the introduction of patch 2.3. The person we have to speak to is hiding here in the shadows, a Lalafell by the name of Payal. So let's go ahead and speak with them and take on their challenge entitled Corpse Groom. Payal looks as though he's seen a ghost. Now the name might not be familiar to you, but if you've been following this Let's Play from Year 1, there was a scene that took place that is directly connected to this Lalafell.
Why, you're EDSS, the famous adventurer! Thank the gods for bringing you here!
Why is that?
Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Payal, one of the many faceless adventurers struggling to make their way in Eorzea. Forgive me if I sound bitter. I don't begrudge you your renown. Your superiority as an adventurer was obvious to me long before you became a household name. Our paths crossed near Sastasha, you see. Hard to believe we moved in similar circles back then. Speaking of which, do you perchance remember having met a conjurer named Etta around that time? We used to adventure together, she and I and 2 others. Our little group didn't last very long, though. Things fell to pieces when Aver, our leader and Etta's fiancé, met his end in the Tam-Tara Deepcroft. Harsh words were exchanged and we all went our separate ways. Since then, I've been getting by on my own. Truth be told, I hadn't planned on seeing any of my former comrades again. But then this letter arrived from Etta, containing an invitation to her wedding.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Her fiancé is dead.
Now I know what you're thinking. I should be happy for her. And I was, until I noticed the name of her groom-to-be. It was none other than Aver. What's more, the venue for the ceremony is to be the Tam-Tara Deepcroft, the very place the poor fellow died. Something isn't right, I tell you.
Yeah, you're right, it doesn't. And Edie looks honestly concerned. Or mad. Or both.
Now, in the letter, Etta wrote that Levin, that's the 4th member of our group, had already agreed to attend. They chanced to meet each other recently, from what I could gather. Not knowing what to make of it all, I thought it wise to consult Levin about the whole strange affair before replying. But last I heard, she'd joined the Signs of the 7th Dawn, and I didn't have the first idea of how to go about tracking her down. Not until the grey scion of them all appeared, that is. Could you tell me where I might find her?
Well, I could give you some information.
In the lich yard of the Church of Saints Adama Landama? I'm sorry, I don't... Slain in Imperial raid, you say? By the 12, I had no idea.
Must have met her ghost.
When did this happen? While the Black Wolf still lived? Then how can it be that Levin met Etta recently? Gods, I don't know what to believe.
So?
If it isn't too much to ask, I would be most grateful if you'd show me Levin's grave.
Jeez, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Who do I think I am, Masayanella?
We didn't always see eye to eye, but she had a good heart. If she's truly... Well, I need to pay my respects. Please meet me at the lich yard.
Yeah, I can do that for you there, Pio. So, we've accepted the quest. And so, our next stop is to go to Eastern Thailand because that's where Saint Adama Landama is. Yeah, well, we've already been here before. In fact, it wasn't that long ago in patch 2.2 that we met up with Nashu and, of course, eventually, her friend, the Inspector Hildebrand. So, we have to... We have to go now to meet with our person of interest at the grave of interest in this instance. So we got a bucket to the Church of Saint Adama Landama and to the Lich Yard. So by the looks of it, Payal might be somewhere, I think probably up on that tier right there, from what I can tell. Oh, here's the grave. Here's where Levin is. So let's go ahead and have a look, because as we can see, the headstone got knocked over. And the earth before it disturbed. Obviously not good.
So this is where poor Levin now lies?
Or so we think.
What's the meaning of this? Not only is her grave defiled, her body's gone! Who could have done this?
Would it be safe to say,
could it have been Etta? The more I think about it, the more it makes... Well, I was going to say sense, but... Gods! I will try to explain. To the rest of us, our little party of four was but a means to riches and glory, such as adventurers seek. But to Etta, it was her life. She blamed herself for Avere's death, and to our shame, we agreed with her, though we knew full well we were all to blame. And then we left her where she stood with her fiancé's head for company. How could we have been so heartless? Small wonder the poor girl has been driven from her wits! But what's done is done. All we can do is to admit our mistakes and make amends as best we can. Avere's gone, and so is Levin, but Anna refuses to accept it. She won't let go of the past. I know not what she means to do in Tam-Tara, but it can lead to no good end. I will attend this wedding and try to restore her to her senses. I would be much assured if you could accompany Edie. As Avere once did, so too does Etta look up to you. She may not listen to me, but she may yet heed the words of someone she admires. And failing that... No, it doesn't bear thinking about. If we hurry, it need not come to that. Please meet me at the Tam-Tara Deepcroft. Together we'll put an end to whatever madness Etta is planning.
I hope for your sake that we can pull it off. We'll go ahead and pay our respects here to Levin's defiled grave. But, next stop for us is Tam-Tara Deepcroft, which is in the central shroud, if I remember correctly. So, I will meet you guys there in a moment. Okay, we have arrived at the Tam-Tara Deepcroft, and I was right, it is in the central shroud, because, yeah, it's been quite a while since I've had to come here. But yeah, this is a place where you see a lot of undead, lots of revived skeletons. In fact, if you do one of the earliest guild tests that is available, level 10 entitled Under the Armor, this is actually where you do that particular guild test. So, with that in mind, let's go speak with Hougamon of the Wood Whalers and ask him to let us in. Hey Hougamon, it's been a while. A Lolofil thaumaturge. It just so happens the fellow like that went into the Deepcroft not a minute ago. There was a young lady with him, just head to toe in white. The lass was all smiles and giggles like a maiden on a wedding day, but your friend looked stiff as a board. Can't say I blame him though, crypts do strange things to the best of us. You mean to head inside as well, do you? Well, take care you don't wake the dead, eh? Well, unlike other quests that we've done before that have unlocked new dungeons, this one does not stop. This quest is not completed just by getting access to the hard mode of the dungeon. So in this instance, we have to complete the dungeon, and then once it's over, then we have to speak to the people in interest in order to officially call the challenge complete. So, I'll be back in a moment after we make our way into the hard mode of Tam-Tara Deepcroft. And so, we have returned to the Tam-Tara Deepcroft, where a wedding is supposedly going to take place. As you saw, there were a lot of candles. There's going to be a lot of scary, nasty creatures, as you can see by that enormous housefly. And that's only scratching the surface of this redux, where myself and 3 other gamers will venture into this very creepy locale. And as you can see, Compared to the original version of Tam-Tara Deepcroft, this place has received a beautiful red hue. But believe me, there's nothing that's that beautiful about it. So, it's up to the four of us to try and stop this supposed wedding of Etta to her dead fiancé. And so here we go. And this is another place where you might see the tank doing large pulls of the enemies in order to kill as many as possible. I'm trying to resist the urge to have my body do some expelling, but sometimes nature will just run its course and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, at least I don't do it loudly like Nintendo Capri Sun does. Which is no knock against Nintendo Capri Sun, we all appreciate his toilet humor. Alright. So yeah, it starts off with a lot of insects here. So to be quite honest, I'm surprised that the enemies that we're encountering in here, they're not like tinier insects, because you would expect tiny insects to be feeding on the bodies of the dead, nipping on their flesh and their insides and whatnot. So they're pretty much reduced to nothing. And don't say it won't happen to you, because that is ultimately what's going to happen, because a coffin can only remain intact for so long. Unless you're in ancient Egypt. Then it seems to last forever. But even then it does no good at preserving your body. Right, here we go. And look, and it even looks like our tank dressed for the occasion. Because yeah, I had a chance to look at what they were wearing. Turns out they are in a suit and tie for this. Back up a little bit so we get a better view. Oh, that's AoE. That's AoE, and that's never good. Alright. Let's go get him. And got the attack back full. So back at it. I was about to say, did anybody get away? But no. The way it was looking there for a moment, it looked like one of the enemies was going away from the tank and going towards someone else. And it turns out we can't damage the usher yet. Well, now we can. I guess we had to kill off everything else first. You know, when you get in the heat of battle, sometimes you can lose focus. As you can tell by the music, this is pretty creepy. But of course, you didn't need music to tell you that, didn't you? Alright, yeah, we had to kill all those bad guys before we could move on to our next section. Yeah, you can't do large amounts of pulling of enemies like you could in Brave Flock's Long Stop Alright, tank is going to keep going here. And run quickly as possible to avoid it being attacked by that streak of AoE. And now we'll move on to beating up some more insects. Beat up more ugly insects! And here we go. Let's take it to them. Oh, look out. As you can see, there's a big podium down there at the bottom. That's actually a precursor, because that's where the boss fight, the final boss duel, will take place. When you get down to the bottom, that's where it's going to go down. Have this one insect down. It's out. Alright. I'll make sure I'm attacking the right enemies. There we go. So wait on the recharge of the Dragonfire Dive, and boom! That'll do it. Yeah, it struck everyone. Yeah, Dragonfire Dive, definitely my personal favorite ability as a Dragoon. And it works so well because it hits everything within a radius. Very effective use And it doesn't cost you any technique points or TP either. Alright, got you down. And now you're next. Make sure we get them all out of the equation before we can start damaging the Usher, because as you can see, the Usher is the one with the beam attached to them. If someone has a beam attached to them, it means that they're either cannot take damage or they take very little damage, and that's something I did not notice earlier. Okay, now there will be times when insects will come into play, and so Tank will once again have to take on the responsibility of getting them. Insects can cause you pretty good damage, and even if you kill the Usher, they do not go away. You have to keep fighting the insects, the demon swag here. So, even though we've now killed off the Usher, we still have to finish off the insects. And launch. Just one more demon swag to go, and then we can move on. There it is. Alright, that's taken care of. So now, onward to the boss, the first mini-boss. And it might be a familiar name if you've been watching this video from the start. Levin. Yeah, now, I know what you're thinking. We do have to fight her. Yes, we do, but there's a bit of a unique twist on this one. What's going to happen here is that there will be additional enemies that will come in during the duration of the fight. But, unlike other boss duels, you don't attack the additional enemies that will come in. You only focus on the Vin and the Vin only, because the enemies will just go away by themselves. What you have to do is focus on the Vin, and you'll be fine. And you see these best man guys coming in, and they'll be nothing more than a nuisance, really. They really don't damage you at all. All you just have to do is focus on yourself. Just focus on what you're doing, defeating Levin, and you'll be fine. So, obviously, as you can tell, we're fighting Levin's ghost, essentially. I wonder if I can get a closer view of our perspective. It's not easy to see when in the midst of an intense battle. But yeah, you see we have bridesmaids now, so that's added on to our list of enemies that are coming in. But as I said before, they will be no issue to you. And how come I can't get off my limit break? That was really weird. There we go. That got rid of him. That was very strange. Why did my limit break suddenly stop turning? Well, it matters not, because we've almost defeated Levin. And there she goes. I told them that she was weird, but they wouldn't listen. Well, that brings an end to Levin's ghost or zombie or whatever that was supposed to be. So now, on to the next section. Now for this next section, you have to go to these defiled coffins. And you have to defeat the enemies that emerge from the coffins in order to advance further. Now how this goes about, you can do it one of two ways. Either have the tank do it, or have someone else do it, and then have the tank draw this guy, Dandelion, away. Because once you open the coffin, you'll actually be frozen for a certain period of time. With the terror status affliction, and you can't move. So sometimes there will be tanks that will say, I don't want to open the coffin, and a DPS to it. So we've defeated the first Dandelion. There will be 2 more to follow. There'll be 2 more to follow. And as we go along further, the Dandelion will not be alone. They will have other friends that will be joining the party, if you will. Yeah, looks like I've got the attention of the discarded body. Yep, look out. Stay free here of the disaster! You don't want to be caught up in the wake. Next, more damage caused. our body, he's out. Now the spare souls and the spare wills, what they will do is that they'll use curse. It's a technique used by other similar enemies that look like the other palette swap versions. And if you get caught by curse, you are subject to losing 200 of your technique points right on the spot. But if you're a character or type of person that uses magic points instead of technique points, it won't bother you that much, if at all. One more of these spare wills left to defeat. And along it's down. Alright, so over here for coffin number 2. Now this one, as I mentioned before, we will start to see enemies brought in, as well as the actual Dantaline itself. So Tank will go up to open the chest, or the coffin, not the chest. And now the Dantaline is accompanied by these 2 guys. So go right to work on beating them up. Okay, let's see if we can get them all together. I don't think we can, actually. Alright, take it away. Will be soon be dead. And this king will soon be following. Out of the way. Ah, got paralyzed. Crap. I guess I was facing the wrong way on that one. But because my focus was on the underlings, that means I wasn't paying attention to Dantaline itself. Well, we soon got him dead. And there he goes. Alright, that's 2 down, that's one, and only 1 more left. Alright, on to our next one. Alright, so more spare souls and spare wills to contend with. Just waiting on our tank to do what he does. A little reluctant to go into battle. Well, probably saving up some points. Now, as you can see, there's a barrier in the way. We cannot go any further until we've defeated the final Dantaline. And I have run into instances where groups accidentally will run by a coffin where a Dantaline is supposed to come from, and we have to go back and get it. But it's an easy mistake to make if you're either new here or you don't have enough experience. So we can just take care of the spare wills. Go. Watch. And to you. Okay. Oh, you know what? I should have saved that for the next Dantaline. That move wasn't haste, because the next Dantaline we run into will have 6 allies. I made that move too soon. I should have saved that Dragonfire dive. I mean, it's not gonna be devastating, but considering that there are 6 of these guys, and I don't know how the heck that happened. We'll want to make sure that we're getting ourselves rid of these guys as fast as possible. And I got paralyzed again. It doesn't matter. They're not that threatening. There's just a whole bunch of them. An enemy may not seem all that intimidating by itself, but get a whole bunch of them together, and it can be a real problem. And so that one's done. There's only 1 more left. And go down. And that just leaves the Dantaline. Soon to be defeated. Let's make sure we can take it out before we can advance, or else we're going nowhere. And gone. And with that we can now advance. So you're probably wondering, Payal did say that he was going to be here, but you're probably wondering, where is he? Well, he's actually going to be in the midst of the chamber where we take on mini-boss number 2. Now, Payal is not going to provide us with any assistance, unfortunately. In fact, Payal serves a completely different purpose altogether, as you will soon see. So once the tank is ready to head on out, I will show what that problem is. Payal is now stuck, and his purpose is to be a sacrifice for this boss. So we have to protect Payal at all costs. So here we go, trying to defeat the spare body. Now, when orbs called Nameless Spirits come out, you have to run into them. You will take damage, but if you not allow even a single one to touch Payal, that will immediately cause a forfeit. He will die, and that's an immediate forfeit. So he must be protected at all costs. In the air, and that's going to get us some opportunity to get more damage on the spare body. And now more spirits are coming out of the field. As before, run into them. It's sacrificial damage that you have to take in order to keep yourself alive. And keep Payal alive for that matter. And here we go again. Now, when you get into this situation where the spare body puts up this AoE, it can damage you, but it makes him stronger. It makes the spare body stronger, so definitely something you'll need to take into consideration when you're doing this fight. Now, when you get your limit break charged up again, do not use it. You're actually going to need it for the last boss. Now we have 2 Nameless Souls to run into. There's that one over there, and there's going to be one over there. Okay, they're going to take those. And yet I took damage from them anyway. I intended to help, but it turned out I was no help. Come back here. That was really weird. Alright, well, I don't think we're going to see that again. I think it only happens 3 times. So, now our priority is just to seal the deal on this. And poof, it's gone. So Payal is now free, and it's going to run for his life. And that allows us now to continue on to the 3rd part of the hard mode of Tam-Tara Deepcroft. And I doubt I'll get anything from that. Those were 4 very poor rolls. Alright, into part 3. And if you're paying attention, just go to the left and you'll find another treasure chest. No gear, but a few extra items won't be all that bad for you. Alright, here we go. Tank leading us out. Now this is an instance where the tank could pull multiple groups of enemies and bring them together. And it looks like that's what they're trying to pull off here. Alright, so bring them all together. At least I hope they are. Maybe a move like that will help things along. That one. Alright. Discard a die. Let's get rid of him because he is the most fearsome enemy because the XIV can cause the most damage against you of everything that we're fighting. On to another discarded die. Let's take them all out. And you can hear the music that's playing and just how frightening it is. I mean, considering where we are, that shouldn't come as much of a surprise to anyone, especially not me. I'm surprised that it's in my own status elements that are on that one enemy. That's very weird. I'm not accustomed to seeing that. I'm usually accustomed to seeing a lot of status predictions against an enemy in a party situation. Alright, here we go. Here we go on our way towards our next area. So once again, we're gonna have to hang a left. So now we've arrived at pretty much the entry point to the boss. We have to kill everything else first before we can go ahead and get to the end. As you can see, much like in the first part of the Tam-Tara hard mode, there are enemies that are using their spirit energy to be attached to this enemy on the left, the Pisco Daemon. So we have to kill off the pawns before we can target the daemon. And back in other Final Fantasy games, Pisco Daemon had an A in its name before the E, so that's why I pronounce it the way I do. It's just that in this particular game, they removed the A from the name. And this group attack again, Dragonfire dive, and one jump, two jumps, slow you down a little, and keep bringing it until you're dead. Now we can focus on the Pisco Daemon. Now what's going to happen is that once the demon pawns are dead, and you start targeting the Pisco Daemon, more smaller enemies will start to appear on the field. But your focus should be killing the Pisco Daemon first. Because Flybone failures, they're not that much of a threat. Your primary focus is to get rid of the big guy. Right. Keep weakening you, so I can't tell if the tank is fighting right now. It looks like he may be. So we've almost got the Pisco Daemon dead, and once he's gone, then we can just focus on his lackeys. You're out. Next up, it's your turn. Yeah, you're all going down courtesy of us. Yeah. These are the worst wedding guests I've ever seen in my entire life. Right. With them all gone, we now get to see that barrier getting broken, and we can now get access to the final boss chamber, where we find Etta. And descending from the top of the cave is this big ugly orb containing a Vare's fallen spirit. And this is actually who we have to fight for the final boss.
Look, Vare, all these people have come to make you a gift of their souls. Isn't that kind of them? Even Edie is here. Now your dream of becoming like him can come true.
Oh, Miss Etta, you have seen better days and you are out of your mind. So much like the Payal Rayo fight, it's an instance of you have to protect Etta in order to keep yourself alive. Because there will be additional enemies to fight here, but in this instance, you're not running into spirits, you're not defeating additional enemies. You have to kill everything, except for Etta, who's stuck within that big, ugly sphere of gloom and doom. And there will be instances, as you saw, there will be enemies that will come onto the field. They cannot be harmed, but they will provide streaks of AoE, those big ugly gargoyles that you have to avoid, because the further you go along, there will be more of them. And as you go along, here are the enemies I was talking about, the grooms-to-be. They must all be killed off before they get into that perimeter of where Etta is. If even one gets in, that will cause a big red glowing symbol to appear on the floor. And the more of them that appear, that means you will take more damage when a bear unleashes his ultimate attack. So avoid that happening at all costs. As you can see, none of the grooms to be made it to the center, therefore we will take minimal damage from this attack. You'll take the minimum damage. You don't take zero damage, but you will still be damaged. Just not in a devastating manner if compared to if you did nothing. And of course, if you allow too many of the grooms to be to reach the center of the platform, that means you're all dead. I don't know if you heard Etta laughing just now, but yeah, that makes this fight all the more disturbing considering what we're doing. Yeah, we're having to kill off the grotesque spirits of what a bear has been turned into, it's not very pretty at all. I'm sure you'll agree. Of course, the boss music that we're listening to makes the scene that we're in even all the more disturbing. And staying clear of this. Alright, back to it. Back to causing harm to a bear. As much as we don't want to, we have to. Right, more Gooms to be are out onto the field. So we have to go defeat them before they reach the perimeter again. Come on, get them. Alright. That one is getting dangerously close. Can we stop them in time? Yes, we did. This is a pretty creepy battle. Make no mistake about it. Oh, I think this one's gonna breach. It did not breach. It was declared to have not breached the perimeter, which means we're all safe. We got away with one there, quite honestly. Now here's where it really gets nuts. Yeah, look. That's can be really bad. So we want to make sure we're getting as much AoE on as possible, because what we ultimately want to do, now that we have double limit break, is of course use it. But finding the right time to do it, because as you can see, there was no way I could find safety there. I was going to take damage no matter what. So now we got to use the limit break. Oh, it's going to get even worse for me. Yeah. Right, so in this last part, if you damaged a bear enough, then just go focus on him. Don't worry about the Gooms to be. If you believe that you can be fast enough to finish off a bear without having to touch the Gooms to be for a third time, just go ahead and do that instead. As you can see, it paid off and we won. So Avera's spirit is no more. But that is not it. Because now that Etta has seen the spirit of her husband destroyed before her very eyes, she now walks into the Ring of Candles and loses her footing and falls to her death. Suddenly it's Eternal Sonata, and Etta is smiling to the grave. And as you can see, obviously given the circumstances, there is no victory pose, only a lot of heartbreak and disappointment. So we'll give the tank the player commendation, and we'll go ahead and play for the treasures. And not surprisingly, we didn't get anything. But yeah, that is probably the one place in the entire game, Tam-Tara Deepcroft on hard mode, that you really don't want to see the ending to because of what it entails and the circumstances around it. So, as you can see, of course, we are not done yet. We still have to complete the challenge. So we have to now go back to reunite with Payal. So I believe he has gone back to Ul'dah. Oh no, he's right there. Alright. Yeah, we'll go ahead and speak with him and bring this challenge to a close. Payal? A somber vigil by candlelight, I guess.
It's finally over. With that, it could have been different, but what choice did we have?
Yeah, I'm just as sad as you are, man. Believe me. Any last words of wisdom?
Let this be my last act as an adventurer. I've done quite enough harm as it is. I mean to go home and live out my days in... Huh?
What's going on? Oh, is that Etta? Is that her ghost?
No, it can't be!
Oh, that may not actually be Etta. Yeah. I think your last act as an adventurer is running for your life. Yeah, we don't see anything, but Payal is going to be haunted for the rest of his life. That's a pretty scary thought, isn't it? And a pretty scary way to finish this challenge. And so, that brings our journey to the hard mode of Tam-Tara Deepcroft to a close. And so that means there are 2 other patch 2.3 dungeons now available that we can go take on. Both of them will start with the access points in Mordona, so we'll do that next time. So I think we've made enough people suffer here for one day, so next time, hopefully, we'll get to do some better things. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. And when I join you again, we will go back to Mordona, where we will start taking on some more of the new 2.3 dungeons. So until next time everyone, this is Matthew at Novora Autism, saying take care, and I'll see you soon.